From the Marquee Media Studio inside Mark Tank, it's the Mark Haney Show.
Yes, this is the Mark Haney Show, and we are on a mission to ignite the entrepreneurial revolution right here in the hometown we love. We're just entrepreneurs helping other entrepreneurs, trying to help them to progress in their lives. We started this show, I don't know, in 2015. It's been a while, and today I get the pleasure of bringing back on the person that was most helpful, most inspiring in helping me to get this show started. It's my son, Marcus Haney. And today we're going to talk about what he is working on, what we are working on together in terms of creating jobs and success for our military veterans, as well as helping solve this workforce development crisis that we have in our country right now. So there's two big things that we're solving together. So he and I will reminisce a little bit, and you'll get a little bit of his background. He's a veteran Marine Corps, wounded in Afghanistan. So he comes to this opportunity, this growth factory opportunity, and this opportunity to help others with an understanding of what pain feels like, what setbacks feel like. And at the end of the show, I'm going to share my biggest learning that I've had over the last 10 years, because trust me, my friends, I didn't come in and start this podcast having all the answers. I started it as a passion project. It still is a passion project for me, but it's taking on a new life and some new dimensions, and I'll share that a little bit. But I will share with you the biggest lessons that I learned, the biggest lesson that I learned over this journey, and it does center around pain. So stick around. I hope you enjoy it. My son Marcus Haney coming back on the show, and it's gonna be a fun one. So stick around, my friends. Oh, today is going to be awesome. I am back in the saddle with my main man, Marcus Haney, who some of you know if you've been listening to the show for a while. Marcus and I used to do the show together, and then I don't know if I fired you or you quit, but you're back on today.
Yeah, I don't know what happened either. I think it was one of those times where we were in the trough of sorrow. I think that we've all been trying to figure out what we're going to be when we get older. Yes. And, here we are, happy to be back and excited to, talk to you about the stuff that's going on in our world.
There's some great things happening right now with us in our world. I mean, you are the strategic partnerships person here at the Growth Factory. So you're overseeing our strategic partnerships, and there's all kinds of great things happening on the Growth Factory. We talk about that on the show occasionally, and maybe if there's time at the end of the show, we'll update people on what's going on there. But we tend to update people on the Growth Factory. But what a lot of people may not know is that we have a veteran success organization. It's called Allegiant Giving, and there's a lot of great things happening, and we're addressing a couple of key challenges. But before we get into that, I want to make sure our audience remembers who you are. Why don't we refresh the Veteran Success Organization? The inspiration behind that was because you were in the Marine Corps, and your mom and I, when we started Allegiant Giving, decided, because our son was a Marine, we ought to be giving back to those that fight for our freedom. And I talk about that all the time on the show. But when you have a child that is serving, it brings it close to home. So maybe you give us a little bit of your background in the Marine Corps, sure, and then how you got here today.
Yeah, I'll try to give the condensed version. But I joined the Marine Corps in 2012. I actually turned 21 in boot camp. I made that a secret, so I didn't want to tell anybody. But ended up getting shipped off to 29.
There's no celebration. There's no alcohol. There's none of that.
I got
21st birthday.
Warm water. Yeah. No, kept it a secret because you don't want any extra attention in boot camp, right?
Okay, so what if they would have found out it was your birthday? It would have been like extra push-ups or something?
Extra push-ups. Yeah, you would have got some extra attention, right? And that's something you didn't necessarily want, right? So tried to avoid stuff like that. But I ended up getting stationed at 29 Palms in California, which most of you sound maybe like a nice place, but if you haven't been, it's the middle of nowhere, the Mojave Desert, hot as all get out, and cold. Best part of both seasons. Ended up serving in the 1st Battalion, 7th Marines. Did 3 deployments. My last deployment was to Sangin Valley, Afghanistan, in 2013. I guess I went in 2009. I made a mistake on when I went in. I went in 2009 and got wounded in action in 2012, June 6th, and then ended up transitioning out of the military through the Wounded Warrior program down in Balboa Hospital in San Diego. And at that time, Allegiant had just kicked off. My buddy from School of Infantry was looking for a way to get back into the civilian life. He was married, and unfortunately, he had both of his legs and one of his arms blown off in an accident or a combat situation in Afghanistan, and he was on the verge of killing himself. And Allegiant stepped up, bought him this really cool track action chair that allowed him to jump in there and go do the things that he loved, fishing and hunting, and really was allowed to go play with his kids because his traditional wheelchair wouldn't go on grass. And I think that sparked something in our family, like, man, we can really do something for these folks who are getting out of the military, wounded and not wounded, both mentally and physically. And so I guess back to my story would be, we jumped into Allegiant, decided we need to find a way to have it grow internally, have a business model. And so we started a DoD-approved program called the SkillBridge program, and it's the Allegiant Giving SkillBridge program, where we take folks transitioning out of the military, find what they're passionate in, and reverse engineer a training program for them to find their dream job when they get out of the military.
Yeah, you're solving a few what I would consider very significant challenges that we have, because when these people go through your program, they come out at the other end ready to get put into a great job. And talk to us about, like, when you get out, so you're solving that challenge, right? I call that the confidence challenge, right? When we get out of have this big change in our life, like getting out of the military, it's like, what am I going to do?
Right.
And I don't know. And if you can get a little bit of progress, a little traction, see a dream coming together for a really cool career, you end up building some confidence, and ultimately, that's really positive for these people who have done so much for us. The other problem that you're solving, I think, and addressing is one that comes up on the show occasionally, but it comes up every day at the Growth Factory in my world, and the shortage of workers.
Right.
And there's this, very low unemployment, which is good, but in certain segments of the workforce, it's tough to get good people. So workforce development is such a big part of what's going to help get rid of some of this massive inflation that we've had. It's going to address the inflation issue, but it's also going to just help businesses to succeed and help some of these supply constraints that we have. So you're really fixing two issues. So let's start with addressing the issue of the veteran success. So a veteran gets out of the military, and maybe describe what he or she is going through at that moment. And SkillBridge actually starts while they're in the military.
Yeah, that's accurate. So a SkillBridge program for military members, they have to get approved by their command. So it's actually a really sought after program for these folks who are getting out, because they want some of that confidence in a pathway as they get out. So the DoD has authorized during a 3 to 6 month period on their last end of their career, they're allowed to go connect with organizations and either take a internship or do what we do and take some training, provide them with internships, and allow them to really get some new skills and find somewhere that they might be able to find a job or an opportunity that they didn't know existed previously. And so we're really trying to open up the mindset, because when you get out of the military, you only know what your job is. You have your military occupational specialty, and outside that box is none of your concern. And looking for corporate advancement and technological advancement and what is a CRM is not necessarily part of a conversation when you're a militant.
Right, you're not built to go into the business world as much. You've been learning how to break things and kill people or whatever. Maybe your job was fixing helicopters.
Correct. Mechanics and all those sort of things. And I mean that's not what their passion is. That's the job they ended up in the military. And so we are helping folks recognize what the opportunities are out there. And we think Sacramento is a great market to drive them to. So we're partnering with local companies here to drive folks in their direction. So they're looking at wanting people who are not only motivated to work hard and show up on time, but also the folks who have developed the soft skills over time in their career in the military.
Well, you talked about the guy that got the action track chair, Tommy Parker, earlier, and how it changed his life. But maybe talk to us a little bit about the feeling when you get out and you're not sure what you're going to do. That feeling has got to be, I remember after selling my companies, I had that feeling in kind of a weird way. Sold my companies, what am I going to do? I ended up writing a mission statement, but there was this, there was this feeling of kind of being man without a country or whatever. Right. So I don't know. Talk to us about that feeling of getting out and then you're like, oh man, I'm starting a whole new occupation and I may not have thought it through yet.
It gives me the goosebumps, honestly, because I talk to folks about that every day. And I think the word is solitude, right? You go from being in a highly competitive, highly motivated organization with people next to you. And you've got your left and right people standing next to you that are, in my world, those were the guys fighting with you. Those are the guys making sure that you had the right amount of ammo when we were in a gunfight. And when that disappears, and when you don't have those same people to your left and right, you sort of look internally and you don't have the same support system. And that ultimately is what I think leads to the 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. And that's really what Allegiant in my heart is trying to solve is alleviate those folks getting out without anybody to turn to, without a place to go. And we want to, be that there for them and, be the backstop.
Yeah, they come back. So you're deployed all over the world if you're in the military, and then you get out and you're typically going back to your hometown, right? Yeah. Right, and so you're back to your old high school friends and your old buddies and stuff like that. You're back into this old world, and none of those people you used to work with are back with you. So you really, it is a feeling of being alone, I have to imagine.
And then the one opportunity that you're given through the GI Bill is going to college. Okay. That's kind of like the gold watch. Thanks for coming. You get to go to school. If you're an enlisted person and don't have a degree, you get to go to school for 4 years. If you're a 25 to 40-year-old person who's getting out of the military, the last thing you want to do is go sit in a classroom with 18-year-olds that have no life experience or comparable to you. And that even makes the situation worse, in my opinion, because that's where everybody turns to as sort of the fail-safe. I'll just go to school. I'll just go get my degree. You get a little bit of BAH and you get a little money, and I kind of figure it out from there. And to me, that is not good enough. That's not a good enough path to get these folks to being successful when they get out. And so we're really trying to streamline that process from getting out of the military to success in a 60 to 90-day period so that we don't have any of that fall off and that any of those people who feel left behind.
Yeah, because when they get out of the military, when you first onboard somebody into the SkillBridge program, into Patriot U, you talk to them about what kinds of things. How do you do an assessment of how you should place them and get them programmed?
Yeah, great question. We do a dream job assessment. We know that a portion of the military go in and get given a job. Whether it's from Motor T and you're a mechanic, or you're a drone pilot in the Air Force. That's not always what everybody wants to do. So we like to open up that conversation, and we have professionals on our side of the phone that are talking to you about opportunities in the marketplace. And so once we have you fill out your dream job application, we sort of look through what your interests are and where the job market opportunities align. And then we have a cloud-based learning management software system that we send them out a a syllabus, a customized syllabus of courses for them to take to get to that dream job when they get out. So we're taking them from no skill, potentially upskilling them in their 60 to 90 day period with us. And then we're finding them internship opportunities to apply practical application of their new skill set, along with finding them companies who are eager to hire folks like them with that same skill set. And I think that that's a winning strategy to have, employee retention, employee happiness, and find the right culture for folks. So I think it's all in all a win-win-win around the entire scenario.
Yeah, let's talk about the internship from the employer perspective, because this is kind of an interesting thing where you can. Interns, we get into college intern. We all know what that's like. Typically, you pay. Sometimes you get them for free, but a lot of times you're paying them kind of a minimal type wage to work for the summer or something like that. And so this is similar to that, except for from an employer standpoint, you don't have to pay anything because the military, they're still in the military during the skill bridge piece. So they basically get a free employee for 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, specifically for our growth factory companies here. So we provide the growth factory companies with our interns to provide projects for them as they grow their company. As we know, startups, not having the capital to go hire a bunch of people to do projects for you, et cetera. So our goal is to create project-oriented interns to help these startups grow and get to bankability within our startup accelerator. And so we are expanding that program to outside of the growth factory, startup founders. And we're being choosy as you can imagine, because we have a lot of excitement around this and a lot of people that are looking for interns. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to ensure that they're the right type of opportunities for our veterans. And so we're trying to right size what that internship looks like so we can maximize success and not have people feel like they were just abandoned during the situation. So we're really careful, and that's important to us.
Yeah. So it's interesting because you have in the military, there are so many occupations. Somebody like you did 4 years infantry, kind of one set of skills, or maybe a kind of set of skills. Somebody else who's been in the Marine or been in, let's say, the Air Force for 20 years, retires. It's a different mindset because the person's more mature, maybe more technical in nature in certain aspects. Talk to us about the broadness of who's coming through our program.
Yeah, great question. And I think that that's the most interesting part is we're seeing everybody from, first enlistment folks to people who are retiring after 35 years as 2-star generals in the military.
Wow.
And the best part about what we get to do is eliminate any of that barrier to communicate that a rank brings. Because if you're sitting in a room with a 2-star general and you are a first enlistment sergeant, it's a different conversation when you're wearing your military uniform. But then when you get into Patriot U, you guys are both transitioning military members on the same path, going after the same thing. And that camaraderie is something that we can't foster fast enough, right? And so we're pushing everybody together, and that camaraderie is something that we are watching naturally happen. And people dive in and asking, hey, how can we help? How can we jump in? And so that's the most fun part for me, is getting to interact with these high-level people that all level set their ego and check it at the door and know that they are sitting next to somebody in the same vulnerable position they are, and together, why watch them grow friendships and, build businesses, get jobs together, interview together. And I've even seen the people go and get a job and then end up hiring someone out of our Skill Bridge program. So, it's kind of full cycle watching these folks, come through our program and help the next one in line.
Interesting. So thinking about this in terms of like the types of jobs somebody might get after they go through Skill Bridge, if you're the general or the colonel or the lieutenant, that person is coming in and getting a leadership type of job. They've obviously got this breadth of experience that has real value with corporations out there that were hiring middle to maybe even upper management, all the way down to maybe somebody who's starting as a something in the trades or something like that.
Correct. Yeah. So I guess your question was the breadth of opportunity for these folks. I mean, high-level administrators are a lot of these high-ranking folks. So if you imagine you get yourself to officer 1, 2, or 3, your job is now leading leaders. Mm-hmm. So you have 30 or 40 people that report to you, and so you are inherently built to have systems operating to lead those people. And I think that in our world, specifically when we talk about venture-backed companies and people growing businesses, they need those sort of leaders to come in and almost be the adult in the room sometimes, mm-hmm. and give some real-world experience that they might not necessarily see otherwise. And then I think on the other end of the spectrum, we have young kids who are getting out like me that were in the infantry, and what were presented as job opportunities of being a police officer and or like maybe a security guard. That's not for everybody. So we've aligned with opportunities to get them into the telecommunications space in a growing environment for them to grow within that and eventually get a 6-figure salary.
Right. So it's interesting to think about where the shortages of employees are today. You go into a restaurant and it's they're half staff, or they've closed half the restaurant because they can't get enough people. Construction, it's hard to get jobs done. But where this show is airing, going to air in August? It's now July. It's probably going to air in early August. But we're starting to see a little bit of. There's been this shortage of developers and people, but you're hearing some of the big tech companies start to maybe scale back their job openings.
Yes.
Right. It's not quite as bad as it was a month or two ago for them. They're starting to sort of right size their hiring for the economy. But there is a big time pent up demand with like the 5G rollout. Yep. and some of these other things that are happening. Like there's this big construction spend that is upon us, and it's not going away.
Yeah, and I think that starts back in high school. I think that Del Oro High School here locally is the only high school that I know that still delivers a shop class.
Right?
They do. Our friend Mike Paul is the welding teacher over there, and he's telling me that last year he usually have 6 or so students get recruited by the Marine Corps. They had 0. Right? So to me, we are not doing a good job as a society realizing that those are the opportunities that make driving down the road pleasurable, right? So it's like, mm-hmm. we need to ensure that the systems that we all rely on as a country, as a community, are looked after. And I think that those are the blue collar jobs. Those are driving the forklifts, and those are the guys that are driving the Caterpillars and setting up the towers for the 5G rollout. And if we don't concentrate on that, I think that we are going to have ourselves a time where we point at each other and said, hey, did you see that coming? And I don't want to get there. I've got young kids, and I think that the opportunity to live the American dream is upon us. And I think that we need to take the opportunity to steer our mindset in a way of looking to our hometown and growing that with the right kind of people, the right kind of businesses for long-term success. Yeah. And that's what we're ultimately care about.
No question. Because you think about our population's aging, right? My age, I'm 59, right? We're going to be taking Social Security in a few years and kind of winding it down. And the population is aging, and population growth, especially right here in California, it's really not happening to keep up with this aging out of the workforce, and the workforce participation has declined in this with COVID and so on. So it doesn't feel like it's coming back. So we got to do something, and innovation is a piece of this. So the growth factory and the stuff that we're doing in terms of being innovative, that's helping reduce the need for as many employees in many cases. But we really need to develop our workforce.
And I think that the veteran population is the most under-leveraged and utilized group of people. From my perspective, I've done organizational placements of high-level individuals in the IT space for high net growth companies like Microsoft. And they talk about wanting to be very veteran friendly. But to me, that ends up sort of being a PR thing. And it's a PR stunt for them. They're not putting the rubber to the road, whereas I see companies like Caterpillar and those type of folks saying, hey, we will do whatever it takes. Telecommunication companies, hey, we want all of those guys. Those folks fit our mold, fit our culture. And so we are steering our veterans in the place where people are raising their hand and saying, hey, we want those folks. We want those people. Send them our way. And, that might not be everybody's cup of tea, but that's the group of people that we know that will show up, work hard, and change your organization.
It's interesting. We've been doing Patriot U for a number of years now, and I remember at one of our Haney Biz golf tournaments where we give the proceeds back to Allegiant and to this program we're building, and we were talking about the great work we're doing in training veterans and getting them ready for a hire. And one of the guys in the audience stood up and said, I'll hire veterans. And it was Kenny Blakesley. Yep. And it's like, okay, we need to put together a program where we can convert them from being just the student to actually going and getting this job. And so now you've put together a program where we end up becoming a feeder to our partner corporations.
Correct. Yeah, so Kenny Blakesley, Apex Site Solutions, I commend them on the forefront. Kenny stepped up at the golf tournament last year and said, I'll hire any veteran that you bring to us. So Kenny, challenge accepted. And so we jumped in there and said, we'll get folks for your organization. And we've worked tight in it with their HR department to get veterans placed within their organization, both high, middle, and low. And so that is our goal, is to help these folks transition out of the military with a veteran-friendly organization, and it's something that they want to do. And so we're seeing a lot of success with that. And Kenny, I'm coming after you, baby.
Well, it's interesting because we're this small, Sacramento-based charitable organization. But you have somehow figured out a way to get veterans from all over the country cycling into this little Sacramento program. You have hundreds of people coming through your program, getting out of the military all over the place from all the branches, and they can all come into to your program, our program. And so it ends up being like a pretty big quantity of people coming through. We're one of the largest, I think, in the country in SkillBridge.
Top 5% in the country per capita, I guess.
And we're just coming out of the closet, I guess, to a certain extent.
Yeah, we're just getting started for sure. And what we're hearing from the veteran population is that we have the SkillBridge program that they were looking for. Nobody else is doing what we're doing in this space. We have open enrollment, we have open training opportunities, and we have open internships and open job opportunities. And so that allows freedom for these people to come in, decide, dabble if they want to. They might try marketing and say, man, I don't want to be a marketing person. Maybe I'm more driven to being a project manager. And so we can pivot and have them travel in that direction. And so that is what we're seeing from the veteran population, saying, we want this, and we are telling our friends about it. And we aren't spending any money on marketing, and they're coming in droves. And so we're growing fast and really exciting, motivational, and love working with these high-level, highly talented people. I am surprised. I'm happily surprised of how high level these people are on a daily basis. Every conversation I have with these people, I leave there learning something about the military potentially, or about them, but also knowing, man, we got some good people serving our country, and that makes me feel good. And I know that, the people that we talk to on the other side are getting the best of the best. And that is why I think that we are going to have the #1 veteran success organization in the country.
Yeah. So having the #1 success organization in the country, veteran success organization in the country, you've been the visionary behind this whole thing, Marcus. I like to be the chief dreaming officer around Haney Biz and the Growth Factory, and I've dreamt up some of the best ideas, I think, and some of the worst ones around here. But this is a great idea, and this is your baby. This is your vision, and you brought along people to help you build out the vision. Let's talk about because you're not on you're the Growth Factory strategic partner, yet you're the chief dreaming officer, if you will, and the strategic guy for Allegiant. So who are the people doing the work?
Yeah, fantastic team. As I mentioned, we have a bunch of folks who are coming in through our SkillBridge program, and so part of our program is that they do a little work for us. As part of the SkillBridge program is, telling their friends about us and hooking us up with their education officers.
So you've systematized it, or you're systematizing it enough where you can take mentor type skill bridge people that are working for you for 3 to 6 months, and they're actually producing.
Yeah, they're producing some work for us, and whether it be posting something on social media, or calling a potential partner, or telling us that they have a friend who's interested in getting into the program. And based on what they're training in, we obviously want to put them in stuff that is correlated with what they want to do.
That's genius. You're taking mentors and turning it into an army of workers. And we're a charitable organization, and they feel like they're helping their brothers and sisters, so they're inspired to do the work,
and they feel good, they love it, and it's really rewarding. And like I said, they're going back into their organizations and turning back into Allegiant, knowing that we've got a good pipeline of talent.
And Allegiant doesn't have to pay; we're getting paid for. The government's actually subsidizing it.
Correct. They're still paid by the DoD. So yeah. But you mentioned teammates, and I've got some full-time teammates that are rock stars. So we have these skill bridgers who come in and do some of the ancillary type work. But then, we have folks like Brian Stewart, who has came in and been my rock star ace when this thing was just a vision.
He's been with us for a few years now.
Yep, absolutely. And he's coming through and providing us with with the level of professionalism on the front side, and ensuring that our skill bridgers are getting the type of program and the training courses that they need to be successful.
Well, let's talk about Brian for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's the executive director. He's helped us with some of our pivots, and he's been here at the forefront of bringing this vision to life. I mean, talk to us about how important he is a little bit.
Brian is the man. I would say that when you have a workplace soulmate, I've heard you talk about that before, and Brian's that guy for me that I know that I can count on him, turn to him, call him at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m, and he's there, and we're talking, and he hears me out, and he's that guy that either motivates me to go attack, or hey, walks me off the bridge a little bit and says, hey, maybe we should visit that next quarter. But all in all, this would not be possible without Brian.
And he's a Marine Corps infantryman too.
You know it.
Okay, so this thing's ran by a couple of military or Marine Corps infantry guys.
Well, then we got Danny.
Jarhead, is that what
they were? Jarheads, yeah. Devil dogs, as we've been called. Yeah. But then there's Danny Breck, who is our newest full-time hire, who is out of Indiana, who's running our East Coast operations and recruiting over on that side. So like you mentioned, we're in every military base in the country. So we have folks coming to us from every state in the union and abroad looking for training and opportunities for jobs. And so we've got Marine Corps recruiting experts on our team. Danny Breck, solid stud, number one recruiter in the country. And number 2 recruiter in the country is Tom McKenzie, my other stud Marine Corps. I'm just teasing. That's an inside joke between the three of us, because these guys come in and want to be number one. And you ever been in an environment with a couple Marines talking about who's the better shooter, or who's the better guy, who's the better sales guy, and these guys jump on this opportunity like it's going out of style. And I couldn't be happier with the team that we've had built out from here going forward. And the last person I'm going to mention as far as team goes is Tank. Tony Aponte, he's a skill bridger turned into marketing expert, learned marketing through his transition out of the military, and now he's doing our marketing for Allegiant and Patriot U. And so it comes full circle, and he ended up starting a marketing business as he's getting out of skill bridge. And that's what we're trying to do, is help folks find what they want to do and help them attack.
Yeah, it's really cool. So you've built this thing with a lot of Marines. Did you ever hear about diversification?
Yes.
No, but seriously, you guys have built this unity that is a bond that in many ways, those kind of things are unbreakable. And so it's really special to see that. And you have recruiters around the country as well. That are working independently with this inner circle group of people. So, I mean, this is building out in a significant way. You told me before we started the show that somebody cried uncle recently because you're sending them too many people?
That's private conversation, you know. No, but I mean, we're on track to be able to provide Sacramento market 100 telecommunications placements a month. So we have the infrastructure, we have the talent, we have the people to do it. We have a few customers who are tapping into that pipeline, but we're looking for other people who want to, some telecommunications folks. So if you are interested in talking to us about getting some of our veterans and our studs over to you, then reach out to me.
Yeah. Now, how do they get a hold of you? What's the right avenue to get a hold of you? You can email me at marcus@allegiantgiving.org, or you can go visit our website, allegiantgiving.org, and you can fill out a contact form, and Brian or one of my teammates will reach out and talk to you about what you're interested in. And veteran spouses, and family members, we also provide training for you folks as well. So if you have your spouse is interested in upskilling, or you have a child that's looking to upskill themselves, we want to provide opportunities for those folks as well. So reach out, get in touch. We're trying to change one life at a time. Yeah. Well, I think the other way that you can get involved in our community is by coming to our events. We have a Haney Biz golf tournament coming up. My chance to plug the Haney Biz golf tournament, and all the proceeds of the Haney Biz golf tournament, which is happening September 9th at the Ridge, the premier golf course in the Sacramento region. Some might say it's the most difficult golf course in the region. For me, any golf course is pretty difficult. So I'll be walking around handing out I'll be on the golf cart, driving around, handing out cold beverages. But it's really a chance to get in the community with some other veterans and a lot of entrepreneurs, right? There's a lot of business people that get it, right? People that want to make a difference, want to help this. So there's employers there, and there's, you'll have some of your Marine Corps and other veteran friends out there. So get involved in our events. So that's one that's coming up. Another one that happens after the first of the year is our Comedy for a Cause, which is this hilarious comedy night that we do. And it's all around the veterans and keeping you in our hearts. And the funds from these things go to drive the Allegiant Giving program. So it's really a special place.
Yeah, our golf tournament has turned into quite a hit. Filling out, I hear a lot of folks say it's the premier golf tournament for the year for them. And we started a new thing last year. We actually created a UFC style championship belt for the winning group. And Campbell Taylor Washburn, a friend of the Growth Factory and Allegiant, won it last year. So we're hoping that somebody steps up this year and tries to take them
Campbell
on.
Taylor Washburn, accountants
Yes.
won the thing?
Yeah,
wow,
I don't know.
That's kind of crazy.
I think they know how to measure.
Well, were they counting their strokes correctly?
That's what the question is. But I think they had the most fun and the lowest score, and they rep the championship belt proudly in their office. So I'm glad to partner with them on that.
All right. Well, maybe just as we close out, just give you the chance to sort of close it out with us around the longer term vision of what's going to happen with this Veteran Success Program business that you're building. Where do you see this in 5-10 years? You say number one, but paint me a picture of what that might look like.
Absolutely. This is my favorite thing to do. I think I'm a cut off the old cloth from you and dreaming, but I believe, as somebody who served in the military, got wounded in the military, and transitioned out of the military, that we need to do a lot more for our veteran community. And so Allegiant Giving will be the #1 veteran success organization in the country, which looks like a campus at every capital city in the country where veterans can go and take classes, workforce train. They can take workout opportunities with a gym, and really that's where everybody goes and thrives in a communal sense around the veteran community. And I think, and I'm going to get the military recruiting stations to rent some space in that office so that when folks get out of the military, a big problem is their recruiter is no longer sitting in the office waiting for them to come back and help steer them into the next phase of their life. That's what Patriot U is. We are going to be that place, that beacon of light in every city, in every capital region in the country that all veterans can look at as the place where they know that someone's there waiting and will always be by your side.
And we want you to help us. If this speaks to you out there in some way, whether you're in the military or you're in business or some other area of life, if this speaks to you, hit up Marcus, hit me up. We want to bring you into our community and help drive this vision, Marcus, that you have, because it's very, very important.
Well, thank you very much, and I glad I get to come on here and share it with you, and so excited to have you a part of it, help steering the boat too, and we would be nowhere without you also. So appreciate your input and your advice and your leadership and your ability to help me learn how to have a clear vision and go execute. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back to the Mark Haney Show. Really enjoyed our conversation with Marcus today. It was good to have him back on the show. It reminded me at some level of back in the good old days when he and I were doing the show together. Some of you likely know that he and I did the show together for a few years. But even before he and I did the show together, I did it with a guy named Tom Cisneros, who is the opening voice to our show. The guy with the deep voice who introduces me. He's the guy that did the show with me at the beginning. He's got this background in radio. We started on another radio station and I was nervous, but I knew I wanted to do something that helped entrepreneurs. And I think when Marcus got out of the military, he knew that he wanted to do something that helped his family and help veterans. And so we had started something called Allegiant Giving, which has taken this wild ride, these twists and turns. So he and I, while he was helping me start the show, we were also running Allegiant Giving simultaneously. So we have the Mark Haney Show and Haney Biz and Allegiant Giving all sort of running simultaneously. And I have a few other companies too that I have running on the side. And so how I start this thing, and whenever you start a business, I don't know about you, but if you've started a business out there, you always start off and you've got this real excitement. And for me, I had a big dream, and it was around igniting an entrepreneurial revolution right here in the hometown I love. And I didn't quite know what that looked like, but I knew I wanted to make a big impact on entrepreneurs right here in the Sacramento region. And so it's been this discovery process, and I can tell you that this discovery process has had some pain in it because there have been setbacks. You start off with a big dream and then you realize it's not very easy. And I had people like Marcus, and Marcus specifically, that helped me through that. But Allegiant Giving had the same stuff. So when we started this charitable organization, Allegiant Giving, we were focused on youth sports and military, and we had to kind of narrow our focus a little bit. And, Marcus described the way we gave away action track chairs. We've helped people with dogs. We've helped veterans, but it's been more like raise money, give grants, raise money, give away stuff that helps veterans. We hadn't really developed a business model around that, but we knew we needed to until Marcus developed this vision for workforce development, and it's coming together now after a lot of pain. But I guess my lesson, because it's happened to me similarly, it's run simultaneously with me here as we with our radio show and our podcast. And ultimately, it led to the Growth Factory, which is a startup accelerator and an accompanying venture fund. So I have both of these two projects running simultaneously, but not really having a breakthrough, right? So what I learned is that pain can be good. If you've got a big enough dream out there, that the pain can be good if you do one thing. Really, maybe it's two. You got to stop and reflect, because you got this pain And if you just keep fighting through the pain, that's helpful at some level. And the pain might look like, hey, no revenue, no customers. How are we going to figure this out? How are we going to create something that, people want to, that are attracted to? So I had, I've had a lot of setbacks in that. So it's been painful, but that when I stopped and thought about it, right? I created some downtime, narrowed my focus, and reflected on what am I going to do with what I got, and did narrow the focus, that I found progression. And that takes time, and so you got to have patience. So really, that's kind of the learning for me is expect to have pain. If you want to do something big in your life, set a big vision and try to visualize it the best that you can. And, Marcus wanted to create the #1 success organization for veterans in the country. And now we have the framework and the business model to do that. I wanted to ignite an entrepreneurial revolution. And now with the Growth Factory, we have the framework and the opportunity to do that. But it's taken these little minor pivots that have been painful. And if I wouldn't have stopped, right? That's the thing. If I wouldn't have stopped and reflected, I wouldn't have made those adjustments. And they're minor adjustments, and sometimes they're silly and they're right in front of your face. But unless you stop and take the weekend to think about it, stop and maybe talk to somebody about this, use somebody as an idea or a sounding board, stop, go to Cabo for a week and envision what you want and what the biggest obstacles are. If you don't stop and reflect on your pain, then you're not going to progress. But if you do, and you are committed, you will progress. So stay with it. So anybody out there who's fighting a good fight for entrepreneurship, you know what I'm talking about. You know it can be painful, but don't beat yourself up so hard. I beat myself up hard over my mistakes and missteps and so on. Accept that they're going to be painful. It's part of the learning process. Stop and reflect. Recommit, and you'll progress. Stop, recommit, and you'll progress. So don't quit, my friends. So all you out there fighting the good fight for our freedom, our security, and our way of life, and if everybody out there that is fighting the good fight for entrepreneurship, here at the Growth Factory, here at Haney Biz, here at the Mark Haney Show, we're never above you. We're never below you. We're always by your side.
Thanks for watching today's show. My goal for every episode is that you find a takeaway, something tangible you can use in your business today. And if you have a comment about a favorite takeaway, feel free to put it in the box below. And if you have a topic that you'd like me to bring up on the show, don't forget to let me know. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about entrepreneurship. Because at Haney Biz, we are always by your side.